I spent my life studying success. I've interviewed self-made millionaires, worked with leaders around the world, and dedicated thousands of hours to understanding one simple question: why do some people take control of their lives while others drift from one problem to the next? And what I discovered changed my life forever. The truth is this: the moment you decide to get your life in order is the moment you begin to control your destiny. Not tomorrow, not next year, right now. Let me ask you something. If you were completely honest with yourself, is your life truly in order? Are you living with purpose, direction, and control? Or are you reacting to circumstances, hoping things will somehow work out? I want you to think about that for a moment, and then tell me in the comments below. Do you feel like you're in control of your life right now, or are you still searching for direction? Your answer matters more than you think, because the biggest turning point in my life came the day I realized something very simple. No one is coming to organize your life for you. No one is going to rescue you. No one is going to suddenly give you clarity, discipline, and purpose. You have to decide. You have to take responsibility. And the most powerful word in the language of success is responsibility. When I first started studying successful people, I noticed something fascinating. Highly successful individuals are not necessarily smarter than everyone else. They don't always start with more resources. Many of them come from difficult circumstances, but they all share one powerful habit. They take full responsibility for their lives. They refuse to blame their past. They refuse to blame the economy. They refuse to blame other people. Instead, they say something incredibly powerful. If it's going to be, it's up to me. And that single belief changes everything. Because the moment you accept total responsibility for your life, you take back control of your future. Think about it. If you believe your life is controlled by luck, by other people, by circumstances, then you are powerless. But the moment you decide that your choices shape your future, something remarkable happens. You become powerful. One of the most important discoveries in psychology is something called the locus of control. Successful people have what psychologists call an internal locus of control. That means they believe they are the primary force shaping their lives. Unsuccessful people tend to have an external locus of control. They believe outside forces are responsible for their results. Now here's the key point. The more you think like a successful person, the more successful you become. When you take ownership of your decisions, your habits, and your goals, you move from being a passenger in life to becoming the driver. And drivers decide where the road leads. I remember a time in my early life when nothing seemed organized. I was drifting from job to job. I had no clear direction, no real plan. And like many people, I was busy, but not productive. There's a huge difference. Being busy simply means you're moving. Being productive means you're moving towards something that matters. One day I asked myself a very difficult question. What do I really want from my life? And at that moment I realized something shocking. Most people never ask that question seriously. They go through life reacting to problems instead of designing a future. They wake up, they work, they worry, they repeat, but they never take the time to step back and say, what kind of life do I actually want to build? Let me tell you something important. Clarity is the starting point of all success. The moment you become crystal clear about what you want, your brain begins working differently. You start noticing opportunities you never saw before. Your decisions become sharper. Your priorities become stronger. Without clarity, life becomes chaos. With clarity, life becomes a mission. That's why the first step to getting your life in order is deciding exactly what you want. Not vaguely, specifically. What kind of career do you want? What level of income do you want to earn? What kind of relationships do you want to build? What kind of health do you want to enjoy? Successful people are very clear about these things. Unsuccessful people are vague. And vagueness leads to confusion. Here's a powerful exercise I've taught to millions of people around the world. Take a sheet of paper and write down 10 goals you want to accomplish in the next year. Write them as if they have already happened. For example, I earn this amount of money. I live in this type of home. I am healthy and energetic. When you write your goals in the present tense, something remarkable happens inside your mind. Your brain begins to treat those goals as instructions. And once your mind has clear instructions, it begins searching for ways to make them real. But let me be very clear about something. Writing goals is not enough. You must organize your life around those goals. And that means making decisions that align with the future you want to create. Successful people constantly ask themselves a simple question. Is this action moving me closer to my goals or further away? This question alone can transform your life. Because every single day you face dozens of choices. How you spend your time, what you focus on, who you spend your time with, what you learn, what you ignore. And each one of those choices either builds your future or slowly destroys it. Your destiny is not a mystery. Your destiny is the sum of your daily decisions. Think about that. Not once in a lifetime decisions, daily decisions, the books you read, the skills you develop, the discipline you practice when nobody is watching. When I studied top achievers in business, I found something that surprised me. They are incredibly organized with their time. In fact, one of the biggest differences between successful people and unsuccessful people is how they structure their day. Successful people plan their days in advance. Unsuccessful people react to whatever happens. Planning your day may sound simple, but it is one of the highest paid habits you will ever develop. Every night before you go to sleep, take a few minutes and write down the most important tasks you must complete tomorrow. Then organize them by priority. Ask yourself, what is the single most valuable use of my time tomorrow? This is where discipline enters the picture. Because the truth is, the most important tasks are rarely the easiest ones. They require focus. They require effort. They require you to resist distractions. But the reward is enormous. When you consistently focus on high-value tasks, your productivity multiplies, your confidence grows, and your life begins to move forward with momentum. Momentum is powerful. Once your life starts moving in the right direction, success becomes easier. But if your life is disorganized, chaotic, and reactive, every day feels like a struggle. And that's why getting your life in order is not just about productivity. It's about freedom. When your life is organized around clear goals and disciplined habits, you stop feeling overwhelmed. You stop feeling lost. Instead, you wake up with direction. You know what you're working toward. You know why it matters. And that clarity gives you energy most people never experience. Let me share something else that changed my thinking completely. Your future is created by what you do repeatedly, not occasionally, repeatedly. Anyone can be motivated for a day. Anyone can work hard for a week. But the people who truly shape their destiny are the ones who build powerful habits. Habits of planning, habits of learning, habits of persistence. In fact, research shows that up to 95% of what you do every day is automatic. Think about that. Most of your life is driven by habits. So if your habits are disorganized, life will be disorganized. But if your habits are disciplined and intentional, your life begins to move in a completely different direction. And the beautiful part is this. Habits can be learned. They can be built. And they can completely transform your future. Every great success story is simply the result of powerful habits practiced consistently over time. That means your destiny is not something mysterious or predetermined. Your destiny is something you build one habit, one decision, one disciplined day at a time. And when you truly understand this, you realize something extraordinary. You have far more control over your life than you've ever been taught. But control requires structure. Control requires clarity. Control requires discipline. Without those three things, even the most talented people drift through life without reaching their true potential. And I've seen this happen again and again. Brilliant people with incredible potential, but no clear direction. Hardworking people who stay busy every day, but never move closer to their dreams. Not because they lack ability, but because their lives are not organized around a clear purpose. When your life is in order, your actions become aligned with your goals. Your energy becomes focused. Your time becomes valuable. And suddenly, progress becomes inevitable. The good news is this. You can begin this transformation today, right now. Not by making one giant change, but by making a few powerful decisions about how you will live from this moment forward. And the first decision is this. You decide that from today on, you are the architect of your life. The moment you make that decision, truly make it, something powerful begins to shift inside you. You stop waiting for life to happen to you, and you start designing it. Now let me share something I've learned after decades of studying high achievers. Successful people think about their future far more than the average person does. They don't drift through their days hoping things will work out. They constantly ask themselves, where am I going? What am I building? What does the next 5 years of my life look like? And the reason this matters so much is simple. Your brain is a goal-seeking mechanism. When you give it a clear target, it starts organizing your thoughts, your ideas, and your actions around that target. But when there is no clear target, your energy becomes scattered. Think of it like sunlight. Sunlight spread across the ground warms it slightly. But when sunlight is focused through a magnifying glass, it can start a fire. Focus creates power. And getting your life in order begins with focusing your mental energy on a clear destination. I often ask people a powerful exercise. Imagine that 5 years from today, your life is absolutely perfect in every area. Your career is thriving. Your income is exactly what you want. Your health is strong. Your relationships are positive and supportive. Now ask yourself this question. What would have had to happen during those 5 years for that perfect life to become real? Think carefully about that. Because the answers you come up with reveal something very important. They reveal the direction your life needs to move. One of the great mistakes people make is underestimating how much their lives can change in a few years if they become focused and disciplined. I have seen individuals double their income within a year simply because they decided to master their field. I've seen people transform their health by building daily exercise habits. I've seen ordinary individuals become extraordinary leaders because they committed themselves to continuous learning. But none of those transformations happened by accident. They happened because someone decided to get serious about their future. Let me give you a principle that has guided my life for decades. Everything counts. Everything you do is either helping you or hurting you. Every hour you spend learning valuable skills increases your future earning potential. Every hour wasted on distractions quietly steals opportunities from your future. Now I want you to think about your average day. How much of your time is spent on activities that actually move your life forward? And how much time disappears into things that produce no real progress? This isn't about guilt, it's about awareness. Because awareness is the first step to control. When you become aware of how you spend your time, you gain the power to change it. And the most successful people I know are extremely protective of their time. They treat their hours like valuable investments, because that's exactly what time is. You can always earn more money, but you can never earn more time. Once a day is gone, it's gone forever. That's why getting your life in order means learning to say no to things that don't serve your goals. And let me tell you something important. This is not easy. In fact, discipline is often uncomfortable. There will be moments when distractions seem more appealing than meaningful work. There will be moments when rest feels easier than progress. But every time you choose discipline over distraction, you strengthen your character. And character is destiny. Your character is simply the result of the decisions you make when no one is watching. Every time you follow through on a commitment to yourself, you build self-respect. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken that self-respect. And self-respect is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. When you respect yourself, you act differently. You think differently. You set higher standards for your life. And those higher standards begin shaping your destiny. Let me explain something else that successful people understand very clearly. You cannot control everything that happens to you. Life will always bring unexpected challenges. Markets change. Circumstances shift. People disappoint you. But here's the key principle. You always control your response, and your response determines your direction. Two people can face the exact same obstacle. One person becomes discouraged and stops trying. The other person becomes determined and works even harder. The difference is not the obstacle. The difference is the decision. Every challenge carries a hidden question. Will this stop you, or will this strengthen you? When you decide to take control of your life, you begin seeing problems differently. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of blaming circumstances, you look for solutions. And solution-focused thinking is one of the most valuable mental habits you can develop. Successful people spend far more time thinking about solutions than they do thinking about problems. They ask questions like, what is the next step? What can I do right now? What skill do I need to learn? These questions move your mind forward, because every problem how becomes smaller when you begin working on the solution. Now here is another powerful truth about getting your life in order. Your environment shapes your behavior more than you realize. The people you spend time with influence your thinking. The information you consume shapes your beliefs. The habits of those around you slowly become your habits. That's why successful people are very intentional about their environment. They surround themselves with people who are ambitious, positive, focused on growth. They read books that expand their thinking. They listen to ideas that challenge them to improve. If you want to control your destiny, you must control your environment. And that may require difficult decisions. You may need to spend less time with negative influences. You may need to seek out mentors who are further ahead than you. You may need to replace hours of passive entertainment with learning and skill development. But every one of these choices creates a powerful ripple effect in your life, because growth is contagious. When you place yourself in environments where progress is normal, you begin progressing as well. Another powerful habit of people who get their lives in order is continuous learning. In today's world, knowledge is one of the greatest advantages you can have. The more valuable skills you develop, the more opportunities open up to you. And the amazing thing about learning is that it compounds. Every book you read builds on the previous book. Every skill you practice strengthens the next skill. Over time, the person who commits to learning becomes dramatically more capable than the person who stops growing. That's why I always say, your future income will largely depend on your ability to learn and apply new skills. And the best investment you will ever make is the investment you make in yourself. Not in speculation, not in luck, but in knowledge, discipline, and personal growth. Because no one can take those things away. You. They become permanent assets in your life. When you combine clarity of goals, disciplined habits, focused time management, and continuous learning, something remarkable begins to happen. Your confidence grows. You begin trusting yourself more. You start seeing real progress. And progress is incredibly motivating. People often think motivation comes first. But in reality, progress creates motivation. When you see your life improving, you naturally want to keep going. And that is how momentum builds. Small improvements lead to visible progress. Visible progress leads to stronger motivation. Stronger motivation leads to bigger achievements. And before long, the person who once felt lost begins to feel powerful. But remember this, all of it begins with a decision to stop drifting, a decision to stop blaming circumstances, a decision to organize your life around a clear vision of the future you want to create. And once that decision is made, the next step becomes incredibly important, because getting your life in order is not just about what you plan. It's about what you are willing to commit to every single day moving forward. And this is where everything comes together. Because the difference between people who dream about a better life and people who actually create one comes down to one simple word: commitment. I've met thousands of people who want success. They want financial freedom. They want confidence, health, and fulfillment. But wanting something is not enough. You must commit. Commitment means you decide that your future matters more than your temporary comfort. It means you show up when you feel motivated and you show up when you don't. Because the truth is, the most important days in your life will often be the days when you don't feel like doing the work. Those are the days that shape your destiny. Let me share something powerful I learned after studying top performers for decades. The most successful people in the world are not controlled by their moods. They are controlled by their decisions. They don't wake up and ask, do I feel like working on my goals today? They wake up and say, this is who I am. This is what I do. And that identity changes everything. Because once you see yourself as a disciplined, focused, goal-driven person, your behavior begins to match that identity. You stop negotiating with distractions. You stop making excuses. You begin acting in alignment with the person you have decided to become. And that brings me to one of the most powerful ideas in personal development. Your life moves in the direction of your dominant thoughts. If you constantly think about problems, worries, and limitations, your mind will continue producing more of those thoughts. But when you deliberately focus your mind on goals, solutions, and possibilities, your thinking begins to expand. Your creativity increases. Your confidence grows. You start seeing opportunities where others only see obstacles. And this is why controlling your thoughts is a critical part of controlling your destiny. Every morning when you wake up, you have a choice. You can begin the day with worry and distraction, or you can begin the day with intention. Many of the most successful people I know start their day with a simple ritual. They review their goals. They visualize the life they are building. They remind themselves why their work matters. This practice takes only a few minutes, but it sets the tone for the entire day. Because when your mind is focused on your goals early in the morning, your decisions throughout the day become much more aligned with those goals. Now, let me tell you something extremely important. Getting your life in order does not mean everything will suddenly become easy. In fact, the moment you decide to pursue meaningful goals, you will encounter resistance. There will be challenges. There will be setbacks. There will be moments when progress feels slow. But here's the truth most people never hear. Difficulty is not a sign that you are failing. Difficulty is often a sign that you are growing. Every meaningful achievement requires persistence. Every great accomplishment is built through consistent effort over time. Think about any skill you admire, whether it's leadership, business success, physical fitness, or creativity. No one becomes excellent overnight. Excellence is built through thousands of small improvements, day by day, decision by decision. And the people who ultimately succeed are the ones who refuse to quit during the difficult phases. They understand something that average performers never fully accept. The process is the price. You cannot separate the result from the effort required to create it. Success in life always demands discipline, patience, and persistence. But the reward is extraordinary. Because when you persist long enough, you eventually reach a point where things begin to accelerate. Your skills become sharper. Your reputation grows. Opportunities start appearing that were invisible before. And suddenly people begin saying something interesting. They say you were lucky. But what they don't see are the months and years of discipline that created that luck. Luck often looks like hard work that no one noticed. That's why persistence is one of the most powerful forces in shaping your destiny. If you simply refuse to quit, you place yourself in a very small group of people who eventually succeed. And here's another truth I want you to remember. Your progress will not always be visible immediately. Sometimes you will work hard and feel like nothing is changing. But beneath the surface, something powerful is happening. You are building skills. You are strengthening discipline. You are developing resilience. And those invisible improvements eventually produce visible results. That's why patience is so important. The people who get their lives in order understand that real success is a long-term process. They think in years instead of days. They invest effort today, knowing it will multiply tomorrow. And this mindset completely transforms the way you approach your life. Instead of chasing quick results, you begin building lasting foundations. You focus on habits instead of height. You focus on progress instead of perfection. And this approach removes an enormous amount of pressure because you no longer need to be perfect. You only need to keep moving forward. Even small daily improvements compound into extraordinary results over time. Just imagine improving one area of your life by 1% every day. Those small improvements would completely transform your life within a year. But it begins with consistency, doing the right things again and again until they become part of who you are. Now, let me bring this back to the core message I want you to remember from this conversation. Your life becomes organized the moment your priorities become clear. Your destiny becomes controllable the moment your habits become intentional. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need unlimited resources. You simply need clarity, discipline, and persistence. And the most powerful part is this. You can begin right now. You can decide that today is the day you stop drifting. Today is the day you stop waiting for the perfect moment. Today is the day you begin designing your future with intention. Start by writing down your goals. Organize your days around meaningful priorities. Commit yourself to continuous learning. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to grow. And most importantly, keep moving forward even when the journey becomes difficult. Because the person who controls their habits eventually controls their future. The person who organizes their time eventually organizes their life. And the person who refuses to quit eventually shapes their destiny. So let me leave you with one final question. 5 years from today, when you look back at this moment in your life, what decision will you be grateful that you made today? Think about that carefully, because the future you are going to live is being created by the choices you make right now. If this message resonated with you, I want you to do two things. First, write in the comments, "I am taking control of my destiny." When you write it, you make a small but powerful declaration to yourself. And second, commit to one action today that moves your life forward. Not tomorrow, today. Because the most powerful moment in shaping your future is always the present moment. Use it wisely. Your destiny is waiting.